there's got to be a happy medium here. We've got to be able to find a couple of starts a week for Bryce at first, defensively.
We got our guy. Let's go to him. Tony Basilio joining us now on the Morning Roast. Tony, good morning. Joe Spadoni alongside.
Oh, look at that man cave.
Joe Spadoni alongside Joe Shasky, not both Joe Spadoni. But Tony Basilio, 105.7 The Fan, FM in Knoxville, TonyBasilio.com. And he joins us now on the River Islands guest line. And let's dive right into it. Obviously, the Tennessee Volunteers baseball season came to an end this weekend in a loss to VCU. And was the thought immediately, Tony, hey, if Tony Vitello and the Giants keep stinking, can we get this guy back after just a year?
Well, I don't know about that. Look, there's an old saying, you can never go home again, or I don't know. The thing about Tony is when they hired him, I told you guys that, he was going to do it his way. And I know that's exactly what he's done. But, it was pretty uneven baseball season here. First time for Tennessee not making it out of this round in close to 7 years. So since he's been here, we got used to playing deep into June, really, with this guy here.
So are you guys surprised that the Giants are this bad with him? Because you keep saying, you said it I think twice within that answer, doing it his way. I haven't felt like he's been fully himself. He feels like he's almost not insecure, but afraid to kind of rock the boat, if you will. That's the sense I've gotten.
Well, you guys are a lot closer to it than I am. Obviously here, and you being on the left coast and it being so late, there are folks in our fan base that are really following that because they're cheering for Tony. He brought so many great memories and did so many things, and they kind of think of him as one of their own here, even though he didn't go to school here or anything like that, but he just left such a mark in this place. The fact of the matter is that, out there, boy, that's a tough spot. I'm a Phillies fan, right? When you don't have a club and you're surrounded by a bunch of spenders, or you spend money on the wrong people like you guys were just talking about, you're up against it. And that's sort of the nature of where the Giants are right now. It's just a bad baseball team. You guys told me that when you had me first on back when they first hired him, you said, how's he going to handle being out in front of a bad baseball team? And I said, not well, because this is a guy not used to losing. These guys aren't used to losing. And, in college baseball, you lose 15 or 20 games, that's a bad year. In Major League Baseball, you lose 60, and you're coach of the year. So, you lose 100, and a guy like Tony Vitello at the end of that won't know his name. So I don't know how this thing works out with him and them. I do know that he's a very intelligent guy. I do know that when you listen to his answers, he tells you the truth. He can give you a word salad now. He would come on my show. We would talk MMA. We would talk about everything. And then he would go into subjects, like you're interviewing a guy and he's way over there somewhere because he's a bright guy and he's just not your average coach. Let's just put it that way. No offense to coaches.
No, it's been a breath of fresh air as Tony Basilio is joining us here, 105.7 FM in Knoxville. You can check out his show there on TonyBasilio.com. That was the big change, right, Tony? Going from Bob Melvin, established, he's going to give you every single generic answer you've ever heard of. It's been a breath of fresh air. I think Shasky agrees.
I love him.
We've kind of dissected hell. Go back to the opening weekend, Tony, against the Yankees. This is the first 3 games. And he's like, yeah, maybe I pumped up the team a little bit too much, and maybe they're too amped up. And then Robbie Ray, one of the veterans, right, 35-year-old Cy Young, he's like, yeah, Tony, I think we're okay. It's just, it's the opening series. We're not doing too well. It's not that big of a deal. But to your point, the word salads, he's done that a couple times. I actually think he's handled the losses overall pretty well this season. And for the first time this weekend, it felt like he finally called out the team, saying they need to take more pride in some of their play. They're a loss here or there for being the worst record in all of baseball. It has not gone well. But you said something in your first answer I kind of want to get back to. Do you get any sense at all that he would resign after one season if things continue to spiral out and go back to the college ranks? Or do you think he's in this for the long haul?
I mean, I only text with him every once in a while, and it's generally to say, hey, man, congratulations on this or congratulations on that. So I'm the wrong person to ask on this. My sense of Tony is that the losing listlessly is going to wear him out. That would be my sense of him. I can't speak to what he does. I've always thought the timing of this is really precarious. I mean, here's Major League Baseball. The product's as hot as it's been in forever, and they cannot figure out what they're doing from a financial standpoint to the point where they're going to lock these players out. It's asinine. If you're trying to kill your sport, I mean, the NBA would kill for this kind of momentum. Now, the NBA got a big market in the final, which will help their numbers, but we all know that that's a broken product. When you hear when you listen to their commissioner talk, Major League Baseball right now, they have all these young stars. They have all these stars. They have this Ohtani thing. I mean, it's nauseating what's going on in L.A. They just ripped my Phillies apart. You guys know that. It's nauseating what's going on. But it's great for the sport, and they're going to lock these guys out. Here's my thing. They get into next year, and this thing's locked out, and somebody from a college calls Tony. Will he listen? If the Giants continue on this trajectory, I mean, I would be foolish. We would all be foolish to think that he wouldn't listen, right? You're going to sit there for a year? I mean, what's going to happen, guys? You guys tell me with this lockout next year. What are your thoughts?
I mean, anything could happen.
Anything could happen.
The RSNs, it feels like they've all agreed we don't care about the RSNs anymore, which are the regional sports networks.
Yeah.
And so that is a big hurdle that I think everyone's kind of overcome. I think that we need a floor and in baseball to get some of these lower level teams to start spending. You want to have more viable teams in the league. So I don't know. But my biggest issue is, like, you shouldn't be 31, 32 years old and hitting free agency for the first time and wanting a 10-year deal. Like, that's how we get stuck in the Adames situation or the Chapman situation.
That's right.
So I think they do have some deep financial issues. I don't know how it gets solved, quite frankly. You brought up something, though, that I find really interesting, which is teams looking to maybe look at Tony Vitello, and maybe a year from now something comes up. I follow Arkansas baseball. My nephew plays for them, and they got bounced over the weekend. And the first comment under one of their game score kind of tweets is bring him home, and it's a picture of Tony Vitello in an Arkansas hat. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm already seeing SEC teams saying this is the guy who can come solve our situation here. Do you think that only is going to continue in terms of the drumbeat of other teams saying, hey, he could come fix us, as the Giants situation is as dire as it is?
I mean, look, Tony probably ain't going to like me saying this, but he's Nick Saban of college baseball. And Nick Saban, when he went from LSU to the Miami Dolphins, everybody was looking at him going, okay, when's he coming back to the sport? Whether that's fair or not, Like, Tony in his mind might be saying, you know what, I'm done with it. He hadn't told me that, but he might be thinking, you know what, I'm going to make it here. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it in this league. And by the way, guys, I think the guy is intelligent enough, is adaptive enough that he could make it there. I really do. Now, he's going to do it his way. Like I told you guys, he's going to do it his way. And I thought one of the more comical things that's happened so far early in this tenure was when Frank Anderson got thrown out of a game, because Frank's a total psycho. And he's on the bench, and that umpire looks at him and says, who the hell are you? And get off my field. You're out of here. But, in a lot of ways, Tony Vitello is who he is. The thing about Major League Baseball is it's such a closed fraternity. I sense there are a lot of media people, and even people in the Bay Area, if I can say this, cheering against the guy because he's not in the club. They don't want him in the club. They don't want college coaches in the club. So that from being from following the college game. There's a line of demarcation in that sport that doesn't exist in some of these other sports. There's a level of resistance there that's palpable, and they don't want this guy. This guy's an interloper. in their sights. They don't want him there.
Such a
So
great point.
every little thing he does, they're going to jump all over. Every little thing, every little mistake he makes, they're going to, because he doesn't speak like the last couple guys, and he's not like Gabe Kapler. Let me tell you something. Gabe Kapler doesn't have the intelligence. Tony Vitello has more intelligence in his pinky than Gabe Kapler does in his entire body. You want to talk about a guy who's got it bad for himself. That Gabe Kapler guy's a clown compared to Tony Vitello.
I totally agree. You're preaching to the choir. There's this like, hey, we're the good old boys club. We're Major League Baseball. And you're lesser than. Well, I watched college baseball over the weekend. You want to talk about a sport that is on fire? St. Mary's locally, it's in our backyard, knocking off UCLA, not once, but twice. And, you know, I follow the SEC, like I told you, because of my nephew, and he's playing for Arkansas right now. He's a freshman. And I watched the Georgia kid over the weekend. I want to ask you this question because people are going crazy. You saw the video of the kid for Georgia hit the home run, turned to the other team, and he's taunting them, and he's running around the bases. I do believe we've gone a little overboard on the celebrating. Now, I coach youth baseball, and, I mean, I'm watching kids get, you know, they dribble one underneath the third baseman's legs, and they get to first, and they're doing the salt pepper shaker celebrations. It's out of control. But seeing the kid from Georgia get ejected over the weekend, is this something that the SEC baseball scene has seen all year, or was this just because, like, I think it was appropriate to kick this guy out of the game. I thought it was way over the top. It's a sixth-inning home run.
I loved it. I loved it. Let the kids play, damn it. Come on. Show some swag.
We got to have a little fine line here on this. What did you make of that Georgia home run over the weekend?
Oh, no, he had it coming to him. That Phelps kid's been completely on the edge all year. And listen, that crew, it looked like they were going to be long-suffering with him. It's one thing. They let him talk to the dugout. But it was almost like at the very end of that thing, when you watch him and he's spinning around and he does a low five, you know, with a spin. It's like all that stuff is rehearsed. I'm like, kid, do you do anything else? Do you work on your celebrations 24/7? He had some things in there I've never seen in my life. I mean, I'm like, wow, this kid's pretty, this kid's like an artist here, like a celebration artist. I like the second baseman. He's going by the second baseman's looking at him like, dude, it's the sixth inning. I love when the second baseman looks at the kid like, what planet are we on, man? Like, what are we doing here? But, you know, at the end of the day, I love what Drew Gilbert has brought to the Giants. Look, if you're not going to win games, have fun.
Yes.
And if you're going to lose 100 or 90 or 100 games, go out there and do the thing where you're doing the pelvic thrust and the guys and a baiter guy and they're falling over. I mean, look, you're going to win a couple times a week. You might as well enjoy it. But the Phelps guy is you talk about a guy that's, you know, he's going to sit out now, the Super Regional, the first game of the Super Regional. That's it.
Yeah.
And he's a great player for them. That's highly injurious. I love that college game because it's played on the edge. Those are all playoff games. If you're a Major League fan and you don't give – and I realize it's not accessible to Major League fans. I grew up in Philadelphia. We didn't know college baseball. I wouldn't have understood that if I wasn't here. But, man, I'll tell you, it is a really, really great sport. It's pressure-packed, as you know. Hey, those kids from UCLA – those kids from St. Mary's made them feel the pressure. That's exactly what happened. They put it on them.
I loved it.
It's a great sport.
It is. Great.
It's a great sport.
Hey, Tony, great stuff this morning, man. We really appreciate the time. The only person that would disagree with you, though, on the Drew Gilbert celebrations would be one Will Clark, who absolutely eviscerated the entire team last week. Yeah, shocker alert. Will Clark is pissed off about something when the team isn't playing well.
Will Clark's always been a really sweetheart, hadn't he, guys?
Yeah, all his teammates would agree.
Tony, good stuff, man.
Oh, yeah, he's a real sweetheart. See you guys.
Good stuff, man.
All right, there he goes. Tony Basilio.